Boniface Okeze, Business Money contributor and investor, joining us live in the studio. Okeze, thank you very much for coming through.
So that's just my pleasure, Bose.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure this is one development someone like you and other investors have been watching very closely for the past few years when Oando made the announcement of taking the marketing company, Petroleum Marketing, out of the main group itself. Give us very quickly your understanding of this, how you followed it through, and what benefit comes to you.
Well, I don't have problem since it was stated in the annual general meeting, I think 2007, thereabout, they want to divest their subsidiary and separate company, and if they are doing that, because yes, it's good to diversify own subsidiary, which you contribute to the main company, earning, and that also it translates in paying enhanced dividend to the shareholders. But those things were not seen forthcoming, most Nigerian companies when they have this subsidiary. But now in their own wisdom, if it's listed, that bring out the marketing, petroleum, which was who get back to the subsidiaries. You can't take that from them, because if they have contributed to the group account, we would have a significant dividend accrue to the shareholder, not the peanut we have been receiving in the past. But if those companies are listed now, that makes you part of owner of those companies, because what you have in the past was contribution to the parent company in terms of returns, which they will now make up and pay you a dividend. Okay? But if it is listed separate of its own, that means I'll be a shareholder there on that company. I now depend wholly on dividend on that separate, where the parent company is still there servicing me. Okay, at the end, because I'm owner of that company. So it is good. And that means most of the directors or executive should not, my own understanding, should not be on the board of those companies. You have to appoint non-executive to chair on those boards, because they will run profitability and bring dividend to those who are investing in them. It's a separate entity. Yes, Oando owns it. Some of them will be on board. Maybe the non-executive from that board who are they currently serving will be appointed to serve them. Because in the past, what you have, like for example, in the banking industry, where you have subsidiary, they now this GMD become the chairman of that subsidiary in a company. It is not good. And that does not give good accountable, transparently run, so that we have a level playing ground in terms of returns to the stakeholders who are invested in those companies. If the parent company become the chairman, then there will be no fairness. It will not run transparently, So there must be a level of giving them a free hand to operate, where you have independent directors running them.
Two separate companies. What you're going to have, from our understanding from this point, is that there will be two different companies. There will be Oando Nigeria PLC and Oando Marketing PLC.
Oando Nigeria PLC
on the exchange. That is what is going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be the parent company.
So which means that you're going to have dividend from two companies.
Of course, if you invest. If you don't invest in the one that that are investing, the subsidiary, you will not get dividend there. But what you have, and if the Oando still having their own percentage from the parent company, then the contribution from that subsidiary to the parent company that you have, that's already existing.
Oh, so you're already calculating how much you get.
Well, it depends, if the subsidiary is going to be listed, so they have to watch it, determine the right price. You're bringing the IPO or to be offered. That's another thing. Then the number of shares you are bringing to the market should not be overbulleted. Flood the market with overbulleted shares. That would be a problem. Where people, look, example, Nestle, today is less than 1 billion shares. And that's why they can afford to pay you 15 naira, 13 naira. Because they pay on number of shares existing. If they have 20 billions of shares, 15 billion shares, that will affect them.
So
the 20 naira you're expecting, or 12 naira, will not be there.
So if you want Oando to come, Oando Marketing PLC to come with IPO debut to be a very fewer shares, so that folks like you can
very
reap
fewer
from
shares, and very few, because if they're not available, people will price it high to force you, who want to sell, to bring it out, based on what they're doing.
Now, the issue is, how would the pricing be for the parent company that is much larger? Oando Nigeria PLC that still has the oil and gas,
yes.
so many other.
The parent company since they're involved in the downstream and upstream, okay, that's a bigger company with tons of dollar returns because they're not dealing money on naira, okay. So that's the bigger money. So the marketing will not be compared with the bigger company. So the price of parent company should be higher. That's a normal thing. Today, if Mobi is trading at 180 or 200 and Total, and our local oil companies, marketings, as case MRS, which formerly Texaco, corn oil is trading about 38 naira na current price. But look at Mobi or Total, they are in high price. But Oando is trading about 66 naira or what they're about, If it's trading about 24 naira or 26 naira. AP. Corn oil is 38 naira.
Well, what's the,
so how they compare them?
No, what's the sentiment?
There's a clear distinction among them,
Why should there be clear distinctions? These are indigenous.
Of course.
Why is that indigenous
based
companies?
On dividend,
is you
based
investors.
on dividend, they are giving out to the investors.
Isn't it more of a perception rather than just dividends?
Based on dividend, they are giving out. And based on number of shares I talked about, if you have over too much shares in circulation, it will affect you at the end of the day. Because where people are dumping those shares, nobody's buying. Because it makes it worthless. It's just like papers. Because next year today is in high demand, but the shares are not available. Because the conglomerate, the white people who are owning it, the multinational, are not selling. It's you Nigerians who afford to sell. When they are in problem, to bring to the market.
Oando is
so
more.
If it's not available, people will be forced.
Oando PLC is in the hands of more Nigerians than Total and Mobil. So shouldn't we project our own indigenous
because of the volume
company?
of share we have on those equities, it will affect the pricing at the end of the day. But the lower share we have in circulation, the more high pricing it will attract in the market. Because the more dividend you pay on those number of few shares, but if you have volume of shares, you pay less dividend. Except you make a huge profit that run into billions. By the time you put out 10 billion to pay dividend, about 15 billion shares, you know how much it is. Maybe you're paying at 1 naira, but you should have paid 5 naira if the shares are lower. Today, more be paid about 5 naira or 10 naira, thereabout, or 6 naira, including Total. But none of them, the ones I mentioned, owned by Nigerians, pay much as that, They pay less. 1 naira, 22 naira, that's the highest you can get from them. That's a problem. And that's affecting them, their upward movement in the equities.
Don't you think you investors should look at this perception about, because this is an indigenous, this is a local one, the all marketing companies, Total, Mobil, because they are multinationals, they're from outside, they can afford, they make all the money, because the more dividend they pay, the more they take back to France, to France, to yes. US, where Mobil and the rest. So
don't forget a lot of things Nigeria does, Yes, in the multinational, it may not rule our capital fly, but some of them are transparent and honest, where you have entrenched good corporate governance. But look at the example of the MDs of those companies, their lifestyle. Maybe they are one car to take them to the office, to the madam and the children, But when they have go to the compound of a Nigerian running company, MDs, see car floating, big cars. That's the lifestyle, So those ones are not attributed to the white people. And that's why Nigeria have more confidence in them. Because they are into share those profits and give you your own and take their own. Because what they're giving to you is what they're taking based on number of shares they have.
So how do you think? How do you think this should?
But the life affluent of our Nigerians who are running those companies, should be, when you run a public company, you should watch it. Those things also affect the company.
How do you think this issue should be sorted out? If you remove Oando Marketing PLC from Oando PLC, do you think Oando PLC should be given another subsector on the exchange and not just it's going to be somehow, if you're going to how will it play out if you list
since
the
they're
same
still in petroleum, they are not, if they're upstream or downstream, if they're still in petroleum, you can't remove them there
from the petroleum marketing.
From the marketing, except there was a different thing, yes, if an NPC is listed today, unfortunately the NPC is not making a move to put it and that's why a lot of things going hand you can't tell what's going on there. You and I are supposed to own the shares in NPC. It's our company. So Nigerian government should be able to kickstarting, privatize that place. Let it get listed and be traded at the floor stock exchange, NNPC. And that's where it can now talking of Oando PSC to move in that other sector, not petroleum marketing.
No, but if you look
because since they are no longer in marketing product or lubricant, diesel, fuel, okay, and kerosene. That's all. So if they are now in the mainstream explorations, so they should be listed in that sector. But maybe they are one of the company to be listed in that sector, or that will follow. Like I'm saying, NNPC, I'm campaigning for NNPC, should follow them. The likes of what they call Total. There's another Total, that's not listed.
Mobile producing and the rest of that.
SM Mobile, they should also join. They should join. NNPC is compared. If NNPC is listed, they follow suit.
If we get back to how these companies pay dividends, I'm sure we must give credit to the Nigerian companies that have tried to do well, that hold their fort. For example, Oando paid about 6 naira cash dividend in 2008. It's also given bonus consistently, at least since the IPO of 2005, I guess, just after bank consolidation
Oando
period.
have not done badly at all, last time when they came to IPO, we said it here, that we should not allow the money they raise from the public to start paying dividend from it, At least give them 3 years.
That was what you said.
That's what I said, Give them 3 years at least, to plow this money into back to business. By the time they now see what they are doing, they were able to pay enhanced dividend. And they did it, I think, 2 years after that market, So those Nigerian companies cannot, at least they are very rewarded consistent dividend. I think AP also paid in 2005 or thereabout, where they paid 5 or 6
about 6,000, 2005, 2006.
But since then, their problem have been dwindling. They are not, paying dividend. Okay? But like I said, those Nigerian companies, running companies, should also borrow a lead from their counterparts, from foreigners, the way they are doing business. You are doing this business, it will remain here to create job opportunity for our country. You are not reparting the money outside, like them. When they pay them, they convert it to dollar or pounds and send away to their country to develop their own economy over there. This money will remain here to our economy. They pay taxes, but unfortunately, the government does not give them incentive where they are operating on the harsh economy. They provide road access road to themselves, everything virtually provided by the company. They pay high over taxation. So if government are giving incentive to Nigerian local companies, they will do well. They create job opportunity for our people. Okay? Not bringing expatriates to run those companies. They must also contain their lifestyle, those running the company. I don't think it should not be big, that you should begin to wear rag or ride the kabu cash as MD of those companies. No, that's what I'm not saying. If you are doing well,
you want a bigger lifestyle too.
If you are doing well,
you want a bigger lifestyle.
If you are doing well,
you want big lifestyle.
Share the money to among the investors who are invested in you.
6 naira wasn't bad for some companies.
Don't begin to take the money to go abroad to bank. It can take your salary out, That's your salary. Whatever it does is your own, is your business. Company pays salary.
Nigerians like living. Nigerians like living
But
big.
whatever you are doing, and the company is doing well, distribute that wealth. Let it go round. Fairly distributed among the shareholders. There will be no problem. And pay the tax as when you, whatever you rate in, pay the tax to the government. That's what you owe to the Nigerian government. And do your business. And remember, for the rainy days, don't be squandering the money because you have been put into trust to run this company on their behalf. And as they put you there, they have confidence in you that you will run this company and bring returns to them. So don't end today that tomorrow doesn't exist. That's the problem most Nigerians are having. And that's why we run the company aground. But you do transparency and corporate governance is truly entrenched in those companies. They will do it, they will compete. They will be able to even employ expatriates to come and work in their firms. That's what we're saying. You must remember for generations. You don't eat at once and close the road as if the tomorrow doesn't exist. When we adopt that attitude, our company will do well and able to pay good dividend. And people will be able to rush their shares. It will be able to compute the next of this world. There are almost 500 today. Why must it be so?
Okay, we'll spend more time with you in the days ahead. I'm sure this month will be a lot of stories about the new IPO market. Boniface Okezie, an investor, businessman and contributor.